Ow. Ooh, the newt. I find this to be very confusing artwork. It's a blue-white mirror. It costs so much mana to get Jailbreak Scheme to combo with the newt well. It is a very long-term plan. Guess we'll worry about the Prairie Dog next turn. Get this thing flying. Get ready to plan a heist. Okay. I think if I just get one more land and they only play one creature, this is going to work out really well for me. If they play no more creatures, what are they doing? I guess that's fine. Is this getting bounced as well? Are they just all bounce? Okay. That's fine. I guess I could have put a land pre-combat so I could counter that, but I don't think I would have actually countered it, even given the option. Oh man, it's a Wingsmith face-off. This is 6 mana for all the value. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one Wingsmith on top. Hit him, play the Vigilante. And I think I will play the tap land, even though it does trigger a crime for me next turn. This gets me to, how much mana is it? 6 and 7 are both real good with this. Oh, they're planning a heist as well. Okay. This way I'm saving a Jailbreak Scheme for later on to potentially use with the Omen Port Vigilante, which is a pretty strong combo. Makes it a double striking 3 power unblockable creature, and you can get one of their plays off the board. I don't think I really care that much about the Wingsmith. Guess. I have 7, so I can afford 1, 3, 6. 1 short of being able to do it all. It's a good chunk of damage. I don't quite have lethal though. And they are getting a grip full of cards. So if I send with everything, and they want to eat this for free, that means they're trading off the Sterling Keeper. They could have a removal spell. Wow, Fractured Identity's on top of my deck. That's nice. I think the way they're going to block now is they're going to go block there, chump, chump. If they have a spell, they could easily turn this around. But I think if they had a spell, like a second, what's it called, Fierce Retribution, and I don't attack on the ground like this, they just take out the Wingsmith, and then I'm actually not in a particularly good spot. I would have played more cautiously if I had known Fractured Identity was on top of my deck, but I didn't know that when I decided to attack. Detention Sphere. Oh, and I finally got rid of having 2 Omen Port Vigilantes right before they had that. Nice. Oh man, they de-sphered their own guy. This is the second time I've seen de-sphere cast in OTJ, and both times my opponent unintentionally exiled one of their own permanents. It's funny. You guys can hear me, right? You can hear me, you can see me. I wasn't intelligent. I drafted this deck and then I ate lunch and then decided I was going to stream. So I'm going to play this out and then I'll draft 1 or 2 more times. Hopefully I get to Mythic today. I think it'll take maybe getting to 7 wins with this deck and 7 wins with the next deck. Which, this deck is not a lock to get to 7 wins. It's just fine. It's nothing special though. I guess I also already have a loss, so it's probably not going to get to 7 wins. This card is really good. Disturbingly so. They hit my Newt. I don't think I actually have much bounce in my deck. I guess I have the jailbreak schemes, which using that on a stolen permanent is way worse than actually bouncing. Please kill my Outlaw Medic. They did kill my Outlaw Medic. Why'd they do that? It's odd. Alright, I get to kill this thing, which that's a pretty big game. Guess I'm not going to attack. If they had like Highway Robbery and I gave them a free hit with the Newt, it would probably be kind of bad. If they just have a removal spell on this, and the Newt gets through is not a big deal at all. Because obviously they're not going to recast the removal spell. It's time for me to draw land. I did it. Guess we'll just play this. This is maximum upside. Holy cow. I don't think I put this card in my deck a single time. It's not like it's that bad of a card. It's just there's so many good cards in this set that I've never gotten to the point where I wanted Flash Windrake with minor text. Alright, we need a land so I can Fractured Identity this thing. Not a land. guess it's not really reasonable to just pass. I guess if I pass the turn, I do get a card. I'm going to do that. Get a card and a flying counter. And I'm probably going to be fine if I get the Fractured Identity next turn. Ow. Why don't I play best of 3 on Arena? My experience with playing best of 3 on Arena was that the competition was really uneven. And there's also this problem that if you're not gonna, like, you just burn through your gems, except in the case where you're using the play-in points. Like when I draft on Magic Online, at least for the first week or two after the set comes out, it's just clearly profitable for me. Whereas on Arena, it's like, in order for something to ever be profitable on Arena, you have to eventually win an Arena Open, which is something I haven't done in a while. So I guess the answer to your question is just straight up financial incentives. Holy cow. I'm going to be blocking this holy cow. What's this thing? I guess I'm still in a little bit of trouble. Blocking like this means at least they can't both save the Tycoon and play this thing. So that's a... The best of 3 rewards used to be better before they made the change where they made it so you just you get the play-in points, which the play-in points aren't. They're actually reasonable value, but it's just so hard to spend them. I mean, they're just basically like, I think they're worth slightly more than 200 gems, but it's so impossible to spend them that it makes them kind of bad. I don't think it's possible to be gem positive in best of 3 without spending the play-in points. I just, maybe it's possible, but the only way it would be possible is that the competition is just so terrible. And I'm not really interested in just, playing against people who don't even understand that you can cut cards. Like, you don't have to play every card you drafted, which it used to be the case in best of 3. You would play against people who every card they picked, they'd put in their deck, and then they'd like auto-added lands, so they just didn't have a functional deck. Like, playing against stuff like that is not very interesting to me. Ow. Are they sacking my Newt? They did. The Newt is gone. Long live the Newt. I wish I'd been streaming. I beat someone in a game where they had 2 of these things out, and they got probably 10 tokens, and I wound up winning. It was a crazy game. The mobile homestead is going to block, I promise you. They don't even want it to block. Fair enough. Guess I'll pass the turn this turn, and next turn I'll plan to play a bunch of spells. This has been a surprisingly competitive game, given that I did cast Fractured Identity on a 5-drop. Guess they've drawn like a really good mix of lands and spells. They've got all 3 colors, and they've probably drawn 7 lands, 12 spells, would be my guess. And they did steal 1 spell for me with, what's his name, Jasper Flint. So they had a good draw, too. It's crew 2, not crew 1. They should probably attack me here. It's a pretty good attack for them. I don't know what they're waiting for. Do I actually want to jailbreak scheme? I guess jailbreak scheming this thing is fine. I'm doing this first so I get the surveil off to plan the heist because I don't want to draw any lands. And I'll still be able to play a 4-drop. How do I like LSV's Vintage Cube? I don't know. I wouldn't say honestly that I love the way that the cube that those guys usually play with. It's like they play with the initiative cards and a ton of fast mana. Like really bad fast mana cards. They have a lot of in their deck or in their cube. And I don't know, it doesn't lead to like games that I find particularly good. I think the best vintage cube I played with since I started doing it again was the one that Magic Online had over Christmas. They've gone through 2 iterations since then, and I think both times they made it progressively worse in the interest of just trying different things. Like, I like LSV's cube better than the current Magic Online one or the most recent Magic Online one. But I wouldn't say it's like my favorite. I think I've appeared in 1 or 2 of Luis's videos so far, and like one time his deck was just like big white and red monsters, and that winds up being a really good strategy a lot of the time in his cube because his cube doesn't really like it. It's just it has every good initiative creature, and then like all of the 3 and 4 drops you would put in a white red deck are just great in his cube. So that just winds up being a really strong strategy in a way that I find a little bit repetitive. Also, I've heard him say that he really likes team drafting Vintage Cube. I don't know that I enjoy the team draft aspect of it either. I'm going to do some more of it at some point, and I guess I'll probably make a video or 2 where I'm doing it. I've had some cool decks, but I've also had a lot of games where like that somebody just plays one of the initiative creatures on like turn 2, and then if your draw isn't really good, you can't possibly win. Wow, that's the best I've ever seen this card be. Mostly seen it be complete garbage. Am I going to lose now? Maybe. I don't usually put this card in my deck. I just felt like trying it. Come on, Hindering Light, do something. It only has a place in Commander to you? You mean this card? I could see this card being good a lot of the times against red-black decks, but not this game. Or at least it's a really bad draw this late into the game. Yeah. Maybe if that had been a spell, I could have won. Like if it had been just a random 2/4, I still wouldn't have been winning. Oh, the initiative mechanic is far too good for 1v1. Yeah. That, like, if it was up to me, I would change Ellisvy's cube. So there's like, so White Plume Adventurer was in it, and maybe like one other initiative card. But every iteration, like he makes pretty frequent changes, but most of the time there's like a half dozen initiative cards, and it just comes up in too many of the games for me. It's too warping. I like the format in best of one so far. Yeah, actually. But I also I hadn't drafted on Arena in a while, so my rank was, maybe I started in gold. I don't know. So I was able to draft a bunch of sweet decks and just win with them because my opponents didn't play great a lot of the time. I don't feel like the color balance is that bad. I've heard some people complaining about it. But I have been doing stuff on Arena. Like I first picked Marchesa, the Grixis rare that doesn't even have a very good win rate, multiple times. The Mox and Lotus Ancestral thing, yeah, it is. I hadn't done it in a while, so it's still been kind of fun, but it does kind of get old. Like, I played a match earlier this week with the vintage stuff where I I lost the die roll, and my opponent just had like Soul Ring on the play twice in a row, and didn't really have any shot. I don't think I'm going to win this game. I think we're drafting again pretty soon. Maybe if this thing works this turn. All right. And they didn't attack me. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I should have just double struck this thing this turn with the counter and then next turn played the desert. Because I'm not loving this put the Cactarantula back on top of your deck play. But my deck will save me. I'll draw Fractured Identity next turn. Or maybe I'll just draw another Jailbreak Scheme. I think it would be better off, though, if I had just done 6 to them and saved the Lonely Arroyo. I had a deck this morning when I was drafting. I triggered Discerning Peddler so many times because my deck had 2 Lively Dirges and I think 3 Discerning Peddlers in it. So it was just like every game I was Discerning Peddling multiple times a game. Oh no, it's happened again. Guess I'm going to attack with everything. Alright, that's not the worst in the world. I mean, don't think I'm winning. But I know I'm going to draw Fractured Identity next turn, and then I will win. Because I'll Fractured Identity their What happened to the Cactarantula? Did they discard it? That targets you or a permanent you control. I can't counter the triggered ability of Hollow Marauder. That's unfortunate. They discarded Cactarantula to the Peddler. Wow. I wish I discarded Hindering Light. At the time, it didn't seem worth discarding, but now I certainly wish I had. Maybe, no, I'm going to Hindering Light. They're going to play the Consuming, whatever it's called, back for more. Hindering Light is so bad. I played a spell to kill my creature, then my Hindering Light still didn't do anything. Alright, that was my one shot at playing with that card in this format. Is it time to try to use the Key to the Vault? Probably not. This pack is really bad, though. So, I think if I was going to pick a blue card, I would pick Essence Capture, which I do not think that's a very good way to start a draft in this format. But the other options are like Nurturing Pixie, which is, I mean, I think it's fine, but it's a really bad first pick. There's also Nezumi Link Breaker, which I do really like in some decks, but kind of requires a very specific deck. And then I guess there's Sandstorm Verge, which I think is pretty good in almost all decks. I guess that's the pick. I think it's between Sandstorm Verge and the Link Breaker for me. I guess I'll just take Sandstorm Verge. Oh no. I wish I hadn't taken Sandstorm Verge, because I didn't look at the rest of the pack, but I do want to take Marchesa. I don't think it's going to be very good with Sandstorm Verge. I'll just take Marchesa. This is not a great pick, I think, if you're trying to win. At least by win rate, this card does not have a very good win rate. I do think it's the kind of card, though, if you get it early in the draft and you draft around it, it's actually pretty good. I've really come to think Lively Dirge is extremely good. That said, I also think this Marauding Sphinx is quite good. Maybe in a Marchesa deck, Marauding Sphinx is going to be better. It's kind of weird, though, because like Lively Dirge does allow me to just... It's a second copy of Marchesa, essentially. I think I'm going to go for Lively Dirge. OG Desert. Second time it's been reprinted. On a bonus sheet. That's got to be, is this the only card that's ever made 2 bonus sheets? Do we have any bonus sheet experts that can answer that? It was in the Time Spiral bonus sheet. I think this is just Rooftop Assassin. Sounds to you like I'm the bonus sheet expert? No, I just, I have a layman's knowledge of the bonus sheets. Visage Bandit. I think I'm far more likely to be base black-red than blue-black. And I also just don't think this card is anything special. So I think it's between these 3 cards, which I don't think I want a non-Marchesa Desert. Probably don't need a second Rooftop Assassin right away. Actually, I like Highway Robbery a fair amount. Are we due for dessert? I still have yet to madness this card, even though I've had so many decks that were so good at madnessing it, it's never come up, which makes me sad. How good would the Mage Vein Lizard be in my deck? The answer is it would not be good. This card, even if it affects you as well as your opponent, that's kind of wild. So, pretty much every card out of my first pack that I was interested in wheeled. I didn't even remember there was this blue-black desert. I think that's what I'm going to pick. Like, obviously, I'd be pretty happy with Slick Sequence, and even the Link Breaker I'd probably be happy with, but one-color deserts, if you're trying to play 3 colors, are just at a huge premium, I think, in this limited format. I kind of like the Red Rock Sentinel. I don't know if I'm going to like it in this deck, though. Might be better just to take the Discerning Peddler. What are the other ways than Highway Robbery to madness it? The Discerning Peddler. It's one of the main ones. There's probably a couple other cards that cause you to discard. There's like a rare artifact that makes blood tokens, so you could do it that way. There's also a decent number of ways your opponent can make you discard a card of your choice. This is probably just Prickly Pear. This is the second copy of Pariah we've seen in this draft. Someone could wind up with both of them. If you have both these out, do you go infinite? You don't. It's a replacement effect, so you just choose who's taking the damage. I think you might be able to split up the damage then, so like maybe if you had 2 really high toughness things, it'd become very hard for your opponent to kill you. I don't know if that's really how the rules work. This card looks horrendous, the Omen Path Journey, but I actually had it one time and it was really good for me. It still looks horrendous to me, though. I mean, and it's not even a commentary on the art. There's a Tyrant Scorn, but I don't like to pass Hollow Marauder when I'm playing black. I think it's exceptionally good. Which one is this? I get these things so confused. This is the haste one that doesn't have plot. I guess that's what I'm taking. I really think Thunder Salvo is a pretty bad card. I try to never put it in my deck. And while I do think Rooftop Assassin is a pretty good card, I think that it's easy to wind up with too many cards that cost 4 or more. So I'm going to take that. If I was playing best of 3, I would take Neutralize the Guards here as a sideboard card. Since I'm not going to be putting it in my main deck and I'm not going to be playing with sideboards, I'm not going to do that. I guess I'm deciding between these two. I'll take Boneyard Desecrator. This card's actually, it's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't say it's good. Ooh. Am I trying to draft to take for a ride deck? I think I am. I'm probably going to play the Desecrator, and I'm definitely going to play Corrupted Conviction. I'm kind of interested in this Mine Raider, but maybe I'll get one of those at another point. Reckless Lackey. Or Stone Cold. I think I'll take Reckless Lackey. It is nice to have 1-drops in your deck if you're playing with Lively Dirge. I'm really hoping that Rakish Crew wheels at this point. Fling. I do have Take for a Ride. Maybe I'll get a second Take for a Ride and I'll play with that. This was the Rakish Crew pack, or maybe it was the next one. I don't know. Yeah, Thunder Salvo doesn't read like a very good card to me. But then I did go and check its win rate, and I was surprised it was as low as 53%. I think Ambush Gigapete's going to be better for me than Trick Shot, especially if I get this Fling in my deck. Flinging Gigapedes at people. I might play with Peerless Rope Master. I hope not, but so far this hasn't been a super easy draft. Terror of the Peaks. Things are looking up. I'm confused. Why? So Terror of the Peaks isn't on this bonus sheet. It's on a different one. Is it? Oh, it's just in the set? This is just like a reprinted card in the set? I really don't understand how these packs work in terms of all of that stuff. Unlicensed Terse is also really, really good. I don't think it's better than Terror of the Peaks for me, but maybe I was wrong. Do I want Intimidation Campaign? The Sphinx is obviously the best card, but I don't think I'm going to play enough blue to play a double blue card. I guess I want Intimidation Campaign. Could go for some more deserts, which that's almost always the case. Do I want the Sharpshooter, Mine Raider? I do love Mobile Homestead, but I don't think this is the deck for it. Probably just the Sharpshooter. So I have 2 blue cards. I do kind of want to play them. I guess I'm still picking a cool. I did wheel the Soured Spring, so it's possible that I'm going to get late duels in my colors. Oh, man. If I had a second Lively Dirge, it would be so easy to just put this in my deck. I'm going to take it, and maybe I'll get the 5-color Desert. Or maybe I'll just play Oasis Gardener. Maybe I'll get some stuff that makes treasures. Oh, I definitely want this thing to make treasures. A second Fling. What does this one do? There aren't that many cards in this set that you read them and you're just like, wow, I wish I hadn't read that, but that was certainly one of them. I don't know if I want to play at Knife Point. Okay. I think this was the Terror of the Peaks pack. That's why I didn't notice the Soured Springs. Sure. Oh, that was pack 8. I was off by 1. I can believe that. Second Prickly Pear. I might be in the market for that. I'm going to have to cut some stuff now. Which, realistically, should probably be some of my cards from random colors, but I'm not going to do that. Guess I don't need all these link breakers. I'll just play 1. So my sack outlets for Take for a Ride are Corrupted Conviction, Boneyard Desecrator, and kind of a cool. Oh, and also Ruthless Lawbringer. Yeah. So that's pretty good. How good am I at making the treasure off of this? No. Yes, but you kind of don't want to do it that way. I guess these 2 things do it. I think the treasure is pretty important for my deck, though. What if I cut this one? How many lands are we showing here? 8, 17, so still 2 more. Maybe the Highway Robbery as well. You've lost to a cool so many times. Is it from them casting stuff off of a cool? Because that would be kind of crazy. I've had a cool a bunch of times, and it is certainly a fine card. But I get really confused why it says you can only sack 3 creatures to put a creature into play for free once a turn. Like, what were people going to be doing with that was going to cause problems if they were doing it more than once a turn? Guess I can find a tapped land, so let's do this before I play a land. I did not find a tapped land. Also still don't have blue mana. That's kind of nice, I guess. This card is not good. They are getting value off of it, though. Not bad. Oh, they threw away their highway robbery to the peddler? They're not really committed to looting. So the Terror of the Peaks always does the damage, so it's not a wombo combo with Rooftop Assassin. That's kind of sad. Mr. Rental, you missed my last stream, which was nothing but a rant about how annoying that Hexproof Sphinx is for exactly that reason. All right, we're getting blue mana. We're doing it the hard way. I think. I'm assuming that I'm getting the treasure-making guy out of my deck this time. Oh, I guess I could just put a cool into play. Maybe that's better than getting the treasure guy. So my options are Discerning Peddler plus treasure guy. Or I just play a cool. I'm not going to get Boneyard Desecrator. I guess we'll just get a cool. I think they just shouldn't have made a card like that, Sphinx. Like, it's not even a good mythic though, because who's excited to? Nobody's going to put that in a like competitive constructed deck, and I don't think it's a card that people are going to be excited to play with in Commander. So what's the point of it? What Sphinx are we talking about? The one I saw in this draft. The 5/3 that if you stop playing spells, it just has hexproof for the rest of the game. I'm not an avid Commander player, but I would suspect that people's idea of a like somewhat casual fun format does not involve just choosing to stop casting spells for the rest of the game. Wish I still had that a cool, because I could sack my Prickly Pear, my Bloodseeker, and my Rooftop Assassin to not bother spending mana when I cast my Treasure Dredger, which that'd be fun. Wait a second, opponent, why not second land and hopefully you have another card in your deck that could answer Rooftop Assassin. But we know Rooftop Assassin's never been beaten. Look at this aggro curve from my 4-color deck. I don't think that the ability you just described, Mr. Rental, would be very interesting because, well, I mean, it'd be, I guess, more interesting than the one that exists, but it doesn't seem like a very interesting ability to me either. Like, not that it's a problematic ability, just that I don't think it would function very well in games. Like, it wouldn't be particularly useful. I killed 2 spells. Glad I didn't mill that thing. Also, what's going on with this deck? I like Forsaken Miner, but I don't know that I like it in a deck that's also playing 5-mana draw 3. That wasn't a good draw. Or maybe it was. Could be in a little bit of trouble here. Maybe I'll draw my 1 of planes. I did draw my 1 of planes. Wow. It's kind of crazy. I didn't attack with the Forsaken Miner, which seems like a miscalculation, for being honest. Do I think people who've drafted blue will randomly announce second main phase at the PT because of mana drain? Maybe. I would guess there aren't that many people who are going to be playing at the PT who have enough reps with mana drain to really think about it, but maybe they'll think about it when it's in their hand. I would think that that's not something you want to do if you do have mana drain in your deck, but you're not in a spot where it would matter. I guess you can also, I guess you're saying like, I think people are just going to pretend like they have mana drain in their deck and just start doing that. I'm sure somebody will do that now that I think about it. For people who don't understand, the way mana drain works, if you mana drain a spell on your turn if you play a spell and like your opponent does something and you react by mana draining, if it's your first main phase, you're going to get the mana in your second main phase, which sometimes is not what you want. So sometimes you want to pass to your second main phase before you start doing anything. Sometimes you do want the mana, so you want to do things in your first main phase. It depends on what the rest of your hand is. I've got all my colors, and I only drew 2 lands. Come on, untapped land next turn. I think I have only 1 more tapped land in my deck, and I've got 14 untapped lands. One of those would be nice. This point in that. Oh. Wasn't what I needed. Wasn't what I needed at all. Come on, untapped mountain, so I just get to play this game on easy mode. Prevent 4 damage. It's going to get better than that? Probably not. They might have Take Up the Shield or Snakeskin Veil in their hand because they didn't play the Bridled Bighorn pre-combat last turn to give this thing trample, which is kind of suspicious. No, they just playing in a way that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm over here missing land drops, and they think I'm really going to trade my Oasis Gardener for the Drover of the Grizzly. Maybe I haven't missed a land drop yet, but I certainly have a handful of cards that it seems like I'm going to need help casting. Well, that wasn't good for me. That wasn't good at all. I think I'm dead now. Not this turn, but I'm going to take so much damage that I don't think I'm going to come back. Yep. It's rough out here. Look at this perfect mana. Didn't hit any creatures. I want a refund on my milling. One other good reason to play Magic Online over Arena is people don't play with lands where it's like impossible to see what colors they're actually playing. This is red-black, even though this looks like a forest. Or an island, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't look like... It looks like false advertising to me. You want me to start running ads again? It was pretty nice when I used to run those ads. This is not going well. All right, so they're going to discard something that causes me to draw a card. Then I'm going to draw a Lively Dirge, and I'm going to Lively Dirge for the Ruthless Lawbringer. I guess I could also just draw the Ruthless Lawbringer. I don't get to draw a card, though. So it wasn't all good. Also, okay, now they have blue mana as well. And they didn't use the Deadeye Duelist, but there's no way I'm going to beat Lotus Ring on a cool. Or could I? What if I draw Take a Ride? Wouldn't save me. Did I turn Arena Sounds off? They could they're probably off. Yeah, they are. I guess I could turn them on if you want. I always play, like, I don't ever want to have to hear them, so I leave them off, but I sometimes turn them on for videos when I don't have to hear them. Desert's Dew isn't that good. I guess I have 3 deserts, but killing it turn 2, hard bristle, whatever it's called. Pretty good use of the card. I think I'm just gonna pedal away this lackey. Make your own luck. They didn't plot anything, which probably means they got all lands. I guess they could have gotten a counter spell and 2 lands. This thing. It's gonna be another short draft. Maybe not. So I'm dirging for Ruthless Lawbringer. I guess I'm sacking the Peddler. Things are starting to get interesting now. I've assembled the brutal Reckless Lackey Rooftop Assassin combination cards, which looks to be quite promising. And I'm pretty happy to have my Lawbringer die, because I do have the Mourner's something in my deck. Like, the Lawbringer is a great card, but it's a great card because of its come into playability, not because of its 3-2 body. You just want to trade the 3-2 body off when you can. They have a counter. That's not good for me. It's not good at all. Or maybe they have Snakes in the Veil? Nope. They had nothing. They have something, but they're not dominant. Whatever it is. They have Hindering Light. It wouldn't have paused for them because of Hindering Light, because yet again the creature was dying without any spell targeting anything. I think I'm actually going to hold this for a turn, because this allows, I'm going to sack the Reckless Lackey, and this way I don't have to spend my treasure. And this body is not going to be doing anything for me next turn anyway, so might as well wait one turn to see if I draw the Campaign card or Marchesa to get value off of the trigger. I might hold it next turn too, depending on what I draw. This board, it really doesn't look like it's going to be doing anything useful anytime. Alright, so that's what they had in their hand, I think, when they paused, when they got that pause, which that makes sense because they couldn't use it for anything at that point. Patience rewarded. Who did I kill? 2 spells. Pretty good ones too. I want to entice them to block with this Free Strider Lookout. And should I use a cool? You're only allowed to use it once a turn. So maybe I'll wait till next turn. Come on, Discerning Peddler. You're not a Discerning Peddler. Yikes. Oh, it was only one creature. I thought that was a second creature. It's not gonna matter. I'm still gonna get obliterated this game. Maybe I could take for a ride the Ornery Tumblewag just next turn just to get a counter on my Gardener. Just so I could say that I had a counter on my Gardener before I died. This is the best of one experience where you're just on the draw, so it can be really hard to win. Because people's hands are just so much better on average. It makes the games just so fast. Alright, let's do one more draft, see if I can actually win. Maybe don't play 4 colors this time. Collective Defiance is not bad. Slickshot Show Off is really bad. It's probably just Outcaster Greenblade. Do you like the Shepherd of the Clouds? But there's Blood Hustler, Deserts Due, and probably the best, well, I think this is the best colored desert. This is like the pair that cares the most about deserts. And it's also, I think, the color combo where you're going to be most likely to want to play more than 2 colors, or I guess if you told me you're splashing, I think being base green-black is probably the best deck to splash from. I think I'll just go with the Festering Gulch. This one, of the cards that like you read and you regret reading, this one isn't one of those. I mean, this one I could conceive actually playing, but I'm not going to pick it highly. I couldn't conceive of picking it highly. We want the Mirage Mesa. Mourner's Surprise. Do I have color rankings at all? I think green's probably the best. I think blue's probably the worst. The other 3 are all kind of in the middle. Which one is this one? I really want to get to do this at some point in the set. And man, if I had the Esoteric Duplicator and I had breaches now, I'd be on my way to doing something. Not something good, but something. I haven't been super impressed by Decisive Denial as a card in this format. I think that it mostly just suffers from the fact that the power level of all the other cards has gone up so much since the last time this was printed. Like, there's no way you would rather have this in a deck than Thrown from a Mount, I don't think. Even though it has a lot more flexibility, but Thrown from a Mount just is much simpler to get to work. This is one of the ones that doesn't really do anything. This pack is not to my liking. I guess I'll take the fall. Green seems pretty cut off, but I think I'm still probably going to be green. Is Outcaster Greenblade an outlaw? It is. And this is an outlaw. I even have 2 outlaws to go with my Take the Fall. Hopefully all the people to my left took red cards out of my pack, so they're going to pass me good stuff in pack 2. Used to take my card evaluations to heart until I betrayed your Babe Grim Lavamancer. Grim Lavamancer remains one of the worst cards that people ever regularly put in constructed decks. Remember one time I was streaming and we were watching, must have been like the top 8 of maybe a historic online Pro Tour. And Simon Gertson was playing with Grim Lavamancer and he just shot a plant token. Like somebody had made a plant token from, I think, a land that just made an 0-1 plant token. He just shot it with his Grim Lavamancer. It was so bizarre. Which is better, Pitiless Carnage or Plan the Heist? This is probably an easier way to draw 3 cards. Yeah, it was some anti-Colony Garden violence. They must have been playing like the black-green version of Cat Oven that used to play Colony Garden sometimes. And Simon had had enough. He just killed that plant. Like, there were other creatures he could have killed too, but he was just like, no, the plant must die. The Grim Lavamancer sees his man and is going after it. We need some good cards in the next pack. Because this isn't an auspicious start to a draft. Well, okay, things are starting to look better. Why did Desserts do Wheel? It's weird. And Mourner's Surprise Wheel. Mourner's Surprise isn't that crazy that it wheeled. I kind of like Tornado too, but I think Mourner's Surprise is pretty good. How much money have I spent on Arena? For a long time it was none, but I have bought in to play a couple opens now. So I don't know, it's like $100 maybe. Which really isn't that bad given how much I've played. And also, it's been a while since I've won money in an open, but I have won probably like $5,000 or $6,000 from opens. Last pick, Rooftop Assassin. I can go for that. Who just called that I'm going to open Bonnie Paul? Now I need to... this is the first time I've had Bonnie Paul. I need to assemble some of the combos that people have done to me with it. I had one person back from Morit twice in one game. I've also had another person who played Bonnie Paul and then played Bruce that gives Oxen double strike, and I died because I didn't realize that Bo was an ox. Which, if I looked at the artwork, I guess that looks more like a cow, which I guess is kind of the same thing as an ox. A little bit hard to say. So what's the plan? I'm like a blue-black deck that has probably a little green for Green Blade and Honey Paw probably. I think the Lock Picker is going to be good for me probably, even though, I mean, it's okay right now. It's probably going to get even better. Another Desperado. Milling people out when you have these things in multiples is a reasonable plan. If I was certain I was going to be base green blue, I guess I would take this, but I think I'm more likely to be base blue black. I don't hate the Gardener, but I do already have one. I've put this card in my deck before, and it wasn't impressive. Never seen anyone cast this, and I kind of expect that I'm never going to see anybody cast it. So I guess it's a second Gardener. So like, having two Deep Muck Desperados does make me more likely to play the Visage Bandit. I would have been somewhat happy with that as a pick. I think I'm going to take Tyrant Scorn, though. I want some more removal, and I want some more 2-mana cards. And again, I think I'm splashing green, so I'm not going to take the Hard Bristle Bandit. Second shot at a Visage Bandit, and this time I think I'm actually going to take them up on it. Even though there is Phantom Interference, I think that this Deep Muck Desperado is a pretty good thing to copy, and Green Blade's a good thing to copy. And obviously Rooftop Assassin is a thing you can copy. I do like Trash the Town, but again, I think I'm not the right kind of deck for it. I'll just take Treasure Dredger. This card's kind of perfect. It's a 2-drop. It color fixes. Oh, I'll take Canyon Crab. I don't mind that one. Probably not going to play this. So I've got 16 spells here and 3 lands, meaning I want to get 7 spells in the rest of the draft. That's probably doable. I'm expecting the next pack to be not great for me. I'm not going to play with any of these cards. I guess if I had to play one, it would be Daring Thunder Thief. Really hope I don't have to play that one. I think this is a really good format. Last draft, I was considering first picking an Izumi Link Breaker out of a really bad pack. Now I'm doing a draft where I'm drafting black, and I'm not even going to play it. Like I think that this is a really well-designed draft format that so many of the cards, it really matters a lot how you construct your deck, whether or not they're a good card for you. But not the Rooftop Assassin. That guy's always the MVP. I guess I might play Raven of Fell Omens. What kind of a white card would I get where I would splash it? Fractured Identity? Yeah, maybe. I'm sure I could think of a red card I might splash too. I don't think this is an Ambush Gigapede deck. So if I either get a ton more Desert Payoff cards or I get some sort of crazy good cards, those lands will matter. Especially because I already have 2 Oasis Gardeners and a Mirage Mesa. So I am actually in pretty good spot to play a lot of different things that might come up. Be pretty cool to draft a set without rares or mythics. I don't think that would make it better. There's obviously a ton of really powerful rares and mythics, but that kind of averages itself out, and I think it just makes it more interesting. Rather, I think if you draft it with rare and mythics, it would just all be like all white and green creatures and combat tricks. Is mostly what people would play. I guess this is an Intimidation campaign. I do love Lively Dirge, but this is not the deck for it. Endless Detour. That is not of the quality that would entice me to add white to my deck. There's this desert, which would be fine, but I don't feel like I need mana fixing. I think I just want Rattleback Apothecary. The lifelink off of this card's going to be nice. Could probably go for a few more ways to trigger crimes. Like a land that triggers crimes would be nice. Does this ever trigger crimes? I don't think it does. There's an Oko trigger from attacking, and you get an Ox, and it has reach. And like I said with Bonnie Paul, I would be using back for more. So that's nice. I'm not in like 17 land territory, I don't think. I'm going to play both my Gardeners and the Green Blade, so I probably don't need to. Man, I could have done the same thing with Ruthless Lawbringer. To do the Lively Dirge thing with Ruthless Lawbringer, you really do want to be a deck that wants to have 1-drops in it. So that's why it's really not appropriate for this deck. I think I'm going to take Seize the Secrets over Rictus Robber. Rictus Robber is kind of whatever. And I want a little bit of card drawing in my deck. So we get a Phantom Interference or Stop Cold. Both are pretty mediocre, but I think I'm going to take Stop Cold. Bucolic Ranch has a really high win rate. I don't think it's good for this particular deck, but it is a really good card. Man, this pack has a bunch of really good cards. There's Lively Dirge. Getaway Glamour. Savage Smash is less good than those two, and also pretty obvious where it's good. I think I'm taking Failed Fording. I don't always play this card, but I think it's going to be good in this deck. I would certainly, if I was playing with sideboarding, take Snakeskin Veil here with the idea that I might want to sideboard it. I think I'm going to take it. It's probably not going to make my main deck. And people hate Lively Dirge. I don't think I can play it. In order for Lively Dirge to be good, you want to be a deck that's playing like a lot of 1-drops and some good 3-drops, which is like Link Breaker plus Ruthless Lawbringer, or a deck that has a bunch of 2-drops, preferably 2-drops that are kind of good or comes into playability. Or you want to be a deck that you have really good 4-mana creatures that you can put into play. And like preferably you're something where you can do multiples of those things I just listed. And once you get to that point, Lively Dirge becomes really good. But this deck, I have only 2-2-drops, and one of them doesn't really even die very often. I don't have any 1-drops. I have some okay 3-drops, although that's like kind of low value, and my only 4, I mean, my 4s are not really worth tutoring. I've been playing Standard recently. I haven't. I brewed up one deck. I wanted to try playing Lively Dirge in Standard, and I made the list, and I don't think I ever even played it. I was thinking this morning, it's crazy that when I look at building decks of Standard, there are still cards that are legal that were legal when I was playing, like, on Pro Tours. I think that at least for me, the changing the Standard rotation really destroyed my interest in playing the format, or lowered it a lot. If they're cool decks from the Pro Tour, which I think is this weekend, maybe I'll give some of them a try, but I don't know, sitting down and trying to make a deck where you can still just play Wandering Emperor and Wedding Announcement and Rafine is... it's not new and exciting for me, that's for sure. So I can go infinite with Tyrant Scorn, bouncing my Lockpicker, and then using the Lockpicker to recast the Tyrant Scorn. Or no, it gets exiled. That's not infinite. It was so close to being infinite. I think they should rotate more aggressively. Well, I think they should go back to the 2-year cycle. At a minimum. There was a point where they wanted to make Standard an 18-month cycle, and I would prefer that. If they're just doing what I want, they should do that. I'm going to be able to play 2 spells next turn. Pretty much guaranteed, which is nice. They seem like a deck that wants to mill itself, but I also want to mill them. So we're kind of working together. And this was a lot of garbage they just milled, but they milled the Colossal Rattleworm. They can exile that from the graveyard for profit. Come on, no Snakeskin Veil. I could have played Tyrant Scorn on my turn, but by waiting, I do leave myself the option of playing Failed Fording instead. And I also, like, if they tried to play Throne from a Mount, I would probably use Failed Fording if they were throwing from a Mount from, maybe from anything. I don't know. They've already milled 3 kind of goofy combat tricks, so probably not that likely to have that many more in their deck. Or maybe they're just a person who loves that kind of card. They got something. I'm not going to play around Skullduggery here. I think my life total's low enough that it's not really an option. I guess the thing that they have is Colossal Rattleworm. really close to just killing them. If I draw a land, an untapped land, I can Slickshot, Lockpicker, Tyrant Scorn, and then upkeep Failed Fording. They probably die. I have to Failed Fording on my turn to trigger a crime to then seize the secrets. I don't think there's that many things I can hit. So if I block in the obvious way, take 7, go to 4. Yeah. Hopefully all my guys live. And that was just a desperation attack because they're worried they're about to get milled out. I don't know that there were many spells I could beat. And if I engage the Oasis Gardener in combat, it's not good for me. Huh. Did I mess up not playing this in my upkeep? Maybe I did. Although if I play that in my upkeep, then a land doesn't help me with the Lockpicker because when the flashback would happen. So I'm just digging. Does that help me? Not really. No, I just need one of the Deep Muck Desperados to live. How many cards are in their library? 2 now. Why did they concede? Like, I knew that I was going to be able to trigger a crime and kill them, but I had 3 untapped mana and I hadn't triggered a crime yet. They figured out their last cards, but they don't need... It isn't about their last cards. Like, they could just attack with all their creatures. I have to block to an extent. And then they play the Rictus Robber and they can attack me again the next turn. They might not have had a land for the Rictus Robber after they just decided to colossal worm thing. They definitely were not dead if... They were going to win if I didn't have a way to commit a crime, probably. And they just didn't play in a way to give themselves a chance. Stoneforge Mystic. I love it that this is in there. What are they going to get? I had one deck that had 2 Lava Spur Boots. I went and got a Lava Spur Boots. Man, they got a Mythic? That's kind of crazy. So I'm saving this. It's my turn 4 land drop, I think. I wonder if they're gonna put the Lotus Ring into play, then they're gonna put it on the Stoneforge Mystic and Black Lotus to play something else, I hope. It'll be exciting. More likely they're just gonna put the Lotus Ring on the Stoneforge Mystic and start attacking me. No. I think I'm just playing for the speedy mill here. My hand's pretty good at it. By playing for the speedy mill, I mean that next turn I'm going to play either Stone Cold and Apothecary or Take the Fall, depending on what they do. So I'm going to want to get as many mill triggers as I can because they're somewhat close to just dying. They just sacked their guy to siphon insight me. Wow. This person meant business. They were sick of having that Stoneforge Mystic. They were like, give me a random card. I don't want this 4/5 anymore. Wonder if they're going to sack this one too, to siphon insight. I think I'm gonna do this. Which I could have guaranteed milling them out in 2 turns if I played the Visage Bandit and they have nothing. But then I'm allowing them to attack me down to 4. So they kill me in 2 turns as well. So if they have a spell, it doesn't work. That was a weird game. Are we finally going to have a game where I actually wind up casting this? Probably not. But maybe. I like that Wolverine. It's a little bit tempting to just get a swamp there. But the fact that this is going to be a 3/4 means that it can probably brick wall a lot of what their board's going to be at the end of this turn. So I don't necessarily need to guarantee myself 2 spells next turn. Oh, it's happening. That's not good for me. So it turns out I get 2 spells anyway. I'm going to go ahead and do this now so they can't play Take Up the Shield. And I don't think I need to kill this, so maybe they'll play something I can hit. Well, it is something I can hit. It is also something I can hit. And I think it's something I'm going to hit. Sadly. Have I liked drafting this compared to other recent sets? Yes. I think this is one of the stronger sets they've made in the past couple of years. I think it's a really good limited set. I thought Murders at Markov Manor was like, okay, nothing special. The one before Lost Rivals of Ixalan, I think I did 1 draft and I was like, no, I'm not interested in this. And never drafted it again. And I don't remember specifically which ones came before that, but it's been a while since I thought they had one that was really, really good. But this is one that I think is really, really good. Oasis Gardener, you're an Uro now. Ooh, a knife point, nice. It's kind of bad for me. I was happier when I still had Bonnie Paul in play. Wow, that was a bad assortment of cards. I was supposed to find Back for More. Finally. Must have tapped my lands pretty bad that I wound up having to tap one of my Oasis Gardeners. Do I know Humphreys? Yeah, I know him not super well, but I played on the Pro Tour at the time when he used to play. There was a point when they first started making Team Limited that I beat him in Team Limited couple matches in a row. I viewed myself as his nemesis. I don't know if he would agree that I was his nemesis, but I think I beat him the first time I was playing for top 8. He's a nice guy. He's really smart. Why don't I play the Pro Tours anymore? Didn't want to have to do the travel, and the fact that there's no limited at the regional championships makes, like, it's just not that interesting to me. Like, I'm not really very interested in putting all the time into testing to play a bunch of Standard and Pioneer. I have so many ways to get back Bonnie Paul. I really don't mind if my Ox dies. we have another job now? No, I don't. So many triggers. Where did that land come? Can you put lands from your graveyard into play? You can put lands from your graveyard into play. Wow. Learn something new. It was important I could get that land back from my graveyard. Without that, I would have been in trouble. No lands from my graveyard at that time. I need to discard them to the Canyon Carbs. I probably could have done this turn better. I was sort of just assuming that my opponent was dead. Did they have the Lotus Ring too? Every opponent this draft, just Lotus Ring tribal. Wait a second. I'm not going out without my Rooftop Assassin. Am I going to go and see a Paul Bunyan statue? No. I will do everything I can possibly do to avoid seeing that Paul Bunyan statue. Including not going to Minnesota. Wait, now there's people in the chat who have competing Paul Bunyan statues near them? I wouldn't have guessed that there were that many Paul Bunyan statues. But I guess I'm wrong. I think there might be a Paul Bunyan, there might have been a Paul Bunyan statue kind of close to where I live. Maybe it wasn't Paul Bunyan. There was this place called Zinn's Diner that had like a giant head on top of it. It was kind of Paul Bunyan-esque, but maybe it wasn't meant to be Paul Bunyan. now there's a third person who also knows about a Paul Bunyan statue. This isn't right. People are making things up. The first two I found believable, but the third one, there's just no way. The world is not just filled with Paul Bunyan statues everywhere. You have a statue of General Thaddeus Kosciuszko? Probably not similar to Paul Bunyan. I don't know who that is, but... Paul Bunyan's very similar to Bonnie Paul Clearcutter, except it's like the male version of Bonnie Paul Clearcutter. Castle Pitch Island. I'm going to be sad if I get to turn 5 and I don't have 6 mana, but against the blue-green deck, Rattleback Apothecary is generally pretty good. I don't really want to discard Intimidation Campaign in a game that looks like you could probably actually go for a while. Oh, you're right, E-Hall. I needed to get a land into my yard for that Bonnie Paul ability. I've plotted a heist. Why didn't I plot the bandit last turn? Because I thought it cost 4 to plot. I could get my treasure dredger back. That's not that appealing to me. Ooh, they played this thing. We're getting the land out of our graveyard. Unless they have Phantom Interference, they don't. One land out of the graveyard, please. I meant to attack with the clone, did I? I did. I don't think I want to trade the Rattleback Apothecary for the Stable Master. And I don't really want to let them just double block Bonnie Paul this turn with Doc Orlock and the Lone Shark, so I'll take a less substantial attack. This turn, we're going for Menace on Bow. Because if I draw a land off the Bonnie Paul attack trigger, that'll make it lethal. I'm also going for much more substantial attack this turn. Do I have anything I can cast down here? No. Didn't draw enough black mana this game. You feel like Bonnie might be top 5 rares in the set? I believe it is the #1 rare in the set, if you look at 17 lands. Although it is a gold card, so it depends on like how you're measuring. If you're measuring by game in hand win rate, I think it's #1. But it's like, as a pack one, pick one, you don't get to play it every single time, maybe. Oh, that's a good draw. Whereas some of the green rares, I think you would just... Like, if you open Bristly Bill, you're just going to play it every time, because you'll just pick a different second color to make sure you get enough spells. Come on, Oasis Gardener on top of my deck. No, but not the worst. Can I go infinite with Slickshot Lockpicker and Failed Fording? Probably not. Definitely playing this. I'm just... Do I want a Tyrant Scorn, or do I just want to take the fall and just get a free card? I think I'm just going to get a free card. I'll make this into 2/3 draw a card. Not super concerned about the Vault Plunderer. I'll certainly happily trade it with the Lockpicker. It's like I built my own Vault Plunderer, but I didn't have to lose a life. Not going to play Bonnie Paul into them having a ton of untapped mana. And I don't have to. It's a little bit scary. If they have a good turn with where they get to get Rictus Robber out. Make a bunch of tokens, this could go bad. Kind of like that. I'm probably forced to play Bonnie now. Maybe not. I'm trying to not play Bonnie into Phantasmal Interference. I am going to give them a chance to Phantasmal Interference this turn, though, because I'm going to Tyrant scoring the Lazav. Probably don't have Phantasmal Interference. I would have played it there. If I played my untapped land to play around Phantasmal Interference, and then I didn't draw an untapped land for next turn, they would get the Phantasmal Interference to Bonnie, which is why I played the way I did. This is like kind of a blowout if they have Skullduggery. I guess this trade still works. Yeah, sure. They're going to neutralize the guards. Heartless Pillage me. Yeah. They don't have a second one of those, or 5 before 2 flyer. That's kind of bad for me, but honestly, it could be a lot worse. Please don't kill Bonnie Paul. I want to get some of these lands out of my graveyard. I don't like having a graveyard that's just polluted with all these lands in it. I need to get them out of here. How did so many of them get in here? I discarded one, and I surveilled one. Ooh, some life gain. Nice. They got some good stuff going on. But is it good enough to beat Rooftop Assassin? Probably not. I don't know what they should do with this attack. Just saddling the Bronco and attacking is certainly an option. Sending with pretty much everything, I think also was a somewhat reasonable choice. I guess this is good what they did. Oh no. That's really bad. I don't think I can win anymore. I trade with the Bronco. My best draw is back for more. If I keep the Gardener around, I can draw Warner's Saddle. I really screwed up not playing that land. Had I just played the land from my hand, it would have made my Mourner's Saddles, or Mourner's whatever it's called. 1/1 get a creature back, you get a 1/1 card. That would have been a live draw for me had I just played my land the previous turn. Mourner's Surprise. That's the name of the card that I thought was Mourner's Saddle, which once I said it out loud, I did realize it didn't make any sense. Nice. Honest Rutstein getting back. Spinewood's Armadillo. This is starting to go a little bit ugly for me. I did intentionally pass the turn so as to get a loot. I don't think I can do that again. Come on, what's a good draw for me? Green-Black Desert would be a pretty good draw. That was not a good draw for me. If I could add Saddle to any legend from Legends, why would it be Tobias Andrian? It wouldn't be. I wouldn't want to spoil the purity of Tobias Andrian's text box. He's just a simple administrator. Like he doesn't need or deserve abilities. This ain't going great. Did I ever draft Legends? I played a Legends sealed deck once. It was a really bad format for sealed deck, remarkably so. I have one of these memories, which it's from so long ago, and it makes so little sense that it's kind of hard to believe that it's true, but it honestly might be. Where I remember watching like the top tables or the finals, one of the players just played turn 3 Zera Arian, which is like, it's a Jund colored legend, so that all 3 Jund colors. And what it does is it's just tap 3 Jund mana, target player draws a card. They played Zera Arian on turn 3, and then they just started activating it on their opponent from that point on, and they won the game because it was so hard to actually deal damage in Legends Limited that like that was a good strategy. Just trying to deck your opponent by making them draw 2 cards a turn. Like I said, it's not really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that that really happened, but I do think something like that did happen. There's also this card called Arborea, which is an enchant world that it's like, as long as you didn't do anything on your turn, you can't be attacked. And in Legends, there's no way to destroy enchantments. Well, I think you could maybe destroy auras. The only way to destroy enchant worlds was to play an enchant world of your own, but they were mostly rares and they were mostly terrible. So you wouldn't have just randomly put them in your sealed deck. So it was really like just playing like 45-ish cards in Arborea was pretty hard to beat. For people who may not believe what I'm saying, I would encourage you to pull up a Legend spoiler and look at like the common, just look at all the common creatures. I think Black's best common creature in terms of like attacking your opponent was Headless Horseman, which is a black and 2 for a 2/2. Most of the black creatures are just walls that don't even have any power. They're just like 0 power walls. This game's getting pretty hard to win. And then red has a wall of heat at common, that's red and 2, and it's just a 2/6 wall, which is like, you can't possibly attack on the ground for the rest of the game if somebody plays a 2/6 wall. Here, we'll do a review. Impromptu Legends set review. I'm going to do set Legends. I played a tie in Legends Sealed, but the cards are the same. And we're going to want to sort by color. All right, so what's white's best common creature? Maybe the Osai Vultures, which is 1/1 flying, and I think if a creature dies, it can get a +1/+1 counter at the end of the turn. So how did Sealed work with anti-cards like Tempest Free? You might not have been allowed to play them, or like the anti-text didn't work. I don't remember. We've got a glyph, which the glyph cycle is hilarious. I'll read this one. This one is like not that confusing. The green one is like, it's so hard to understand what it does. But there's a cycle at common that only interacts with walls. Choose target wall creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage by an attacking creature this turn, you gain that much life. So a little bit of like a cross between walls only and life gain. So not a high-powered card. This is like, instead of Disenchant, there's cards like this, which that one's too hard to explain. Then we've got, for biggest common creature in white, we've got white, white, 1 for a 2/3. So white, not really a good beatdown color, but as we're going to see, it's probably one of the more beatdown colors. Blue's best creature, the Zephyr Falcon, 1/1 flying for 2 mana. Other options for best creature, 1 and a blue and 2 for a 1/2 Island Walk. If you don't like either of those, then you've got 3 mana for a 0/1 wall. Wasn't Vultures uncommon? You might be right. This might be... Scryfall is showing me like some sort of updated commonality. Now, according to this, it was a common in Legends. So maybe that's I don't know. A little bit unclear whether it's a common or not. Black, we've got... This is one of the best... This is probably the best black common creature. Black and 1 for a 2/1, then when it dies, it gets exiled. This is the card I was talking about. Black and 2 for a 2/2 with no abilities. This is a card that allows you to go more aggro. 1 and a black for a 1/1 that you could spend 5 to have it gain land walk, which is kind of like spending 5 to make it unblockable, but there are actually a surprising number of cards in Legends that remove land walk abilities. How does that work if somebody has out Quagmire, which is an enchantment that's a black and 2, creatures lose Swamp Walk, and then they use the slug? I think that it's time stamping, so the slug still has Swamp Walk. It's possible that the Quagmire says creatures lose Swamp Walk and they can't gain Swamp Walk. Although the people that were writing the cards at the time didn't really understand the rules well enough to write stuff like that. Oh, maybe the best beatdown creature is black, black 1 for a 2/1 Swamp Walk. It's going to be hard to cast because I think Legends has no dual lands in it at all. So your sealed deck, you're going to be playing 3 colors, all basics. Oh, Vampire Bats is maybe a good beatdown. So black is like the beatdown color because it has 3 commons that can potentially have 2 power. Red, we've got Chain Lightning, which is a good card, but we've also have... There's a cycle of 0 mana 0/1s. So that's taken up a lot of your creature slots. There's also this thing, which is basically an 0/3 wall. You do get Pyrotechnics at common, which is quite good. Is Karakas the best limited card of all time relative to set power? Probably not. You mean like having Karakas in Legends sealed is like one of the best? It's probably... There might be some rares that are better. Like, it might be better to just have, like, one of the really good rares, like Sulkanar, might give you a better chance of winning. Because I think Karakas, a lot of the time, it just means it's going to come down to getting decked. Oh, here we go. Raging Bull, red and 2 for a 2/2. Clearly the best red common creature. Here's that wall I was talking about, Wall of Heat. There's also a different wall, Wall of Earth, just an 06. Green is a pretty... green has the best creatures by far. Barber Apes, which is just a grizzly bear. Darkwood Boars. That thing's been reprinted some. Moss Monster. 2/1 First Strike for 3 mana. So at the time that they printed this card, there was a card they were printing in like alpha and revised called Elvish Archers. Well, in alpha, Elvish Archers is a 1/2 First Strike, but in all the other printings, it's a 2/1 First Strike. So they just decided to tack an extra green mana onto it for this. Wood Elemental's rare. Wood Elemental's one of the worst creatures ever made. Green, green 2 for a 2/4 Rampage 2. Pretty nice. This thing kind of has phasing, except it has attack every other turn. Green, like, if you got a lot of green in your sealed deck, you could conceivably put enough creatures in your deck to actually deal 20 damage. don't think the other colors, you're generally not going to be able to deal. Like, you're going to probably only have like 5 or 6 creatures that can attack if you're not playing green. I would guess that if you're building your sealed deck optimally in Legends, you probably want to play 4 colors and at least 20 lands. Not because the cards are so expensive that you need to like make land drop number 8, but because the cards are so bad, you're going to need to play 4 colors to get enough cards that actually do anything, and there's no mana fixing at all, so you're just going to want to play a lot of lands. That's my advice to you if you play Legends Sealed. Consider playing 4 colors, no fixing, and just play like... Certainly you're going to play at least 18 lands. I would be strongly considering like 20 or 21. Just because most of the spells are so bad they don't do anything. Like if you go through your sealed pool and you just, set aside all the cards that after you read them you realize they have no ability to affect the game at all, you will have cut out probably half the cards. Am I not counting the batteries as fixing? No, they're not fixing. I mean, like, obviously, I guess if you had 19 lands and a green mana battery and you were going to be like, should I play a forest or a green mana battery? You could play the green mana battery instead. I'm just going to put that a point. Probably not. Probably not worth it. You played in some Revised plus Legends Sealed. I'm going to guess you were banking pretty heavily on the Revised cards, which it's not like Revised is a set that is all winners either. If you ever play Revised Sealed, you're going to get like probably a third of your cards. You're going to read them and you're going to be like, this has no ability to affect the game at all. Like Wooden Sphere. You're not going to win a lot of games of Limited with Wooden Sphere. Or Jump. How many games did you would you burn them out? Storm to the Ages. I mean, by burn them out, like, are you saying dealt 4 damage? Because it's so hard to have enough creatures in play for Sword of the Ages to do anything. I guess it counts power, but Legends was definitely not a set where the creatures had very high power. I'll just defeat this thing and plot this rather than... I can guarantee myself Bonnie Paul next turn by using Treasure Dredger. But I don't want to let this live because they're obviously mana screwed, so... there's no reason to let them go and find whatever the other color is. And it's probably worth spending 3 mana rather than just using the one with Treasure Dredger. What can we do? We can Tyrant Scorn them. Oh, this is the awkward thing again where I have to give up a crime trigger because I can't play this at instant speed. I guess I can afford to wait. Just have my plan be do this. Double block Hellspur Brute with the Treasure Dredger and the Lockpicker. Make a treasure next turn. Use the treasure to play Bonnie Paul and play Festering Gulch to mill them. And wish them luck in future games because they're not going to beat that. Okay, we got a little bit of fight going on. I don't think the red-green deck is going to beat Bonnie Paul, but they at least aren't going to get milled out. Or they're going to force me to bring back my millers to mill them out, which would probably work too. I think I missed a chance to make a treasure that would have been good. Or, no, I guess I didn't. I would have had to sack a treasure to make a treasure, which that doesn't help me. It would have just been a way to lose one life. Oh, the Wolverine's betraying them. They have to exile their top card. It's not optional. I'll just take it. Killed this thing, the Ornery Tumblewag. Nice. Can I die here? I don't think they could have killed me even if they had Great Train Heist. Maybe Great Train Heist would have been enough. Probably not. I'm back, Bonnie Paul. How do you access the deck damage amount? Well, you're going to need to invent a time machine. So if you want to know how to invent a time machine, I can't help you. But I would encourage you to try to do it. Alright, we need some blue mana, but we'll have some time. We'll be able to play Desert's Dew, and then play Rattleback Apothecary. that they're pausing there. I'm interpreting that to mean that they don't have anything, but I was wrong. Go get a blue-black desert. I have a blue-black desert, don't I? Yeah, I do. Then next turn I'll be able to play Intimidation Campaign and Tyrant's Scorn the Townsfolk. Hopefully draw into an untapped land and play Bonnie Paul next turn. It's Eartha Joe. It's better, Intimidation Campaign or the Desperado. I think in... Wait, I don't have enough mana to play Intimidation Campaign and Tyrant's Scorn. Guess I'm gonna do this instead then. And I think I will do this now. So they don't have... Is Take Up the Shield the name of the thing that makes them have lifelink? I think it is. I'm gonna play around that. It's Bruce. I'm willing to double block here. They could have Explosive Derailment, which would be bad for me. But I think this is a game where I'm going to need to block at some point, so fine. And like that exchange for Take Up the Shield is... I guess I would prefer they hadn't had that, but they're going to have something that was a fine spot for it to happen. They have... This combo is nice. High Noon, Eartha Joe. It's just 10 damage. It's also annoying I can't play more than one card a turn. Ferocification. Does that work with Eartha Joe, or is it just... I don't think it does anything special with Eartha Joe. Yeah. It's 5 mana, so I don't need to worry about that. That was a good draw. How many lands in my graveyard? No. Getting robbed on the graveyard lands. Should have attacked for the card draw. With the green blade, you mean? I don't think so. Like, I want to be able to chump. Like, you understand that they can just do 10 damage to me with High Noon. Plus Eartha Joe, right? Maybe I was in a spot where if they actually were able to... Like, if they had had a cheap removal for Bo, plus sack the High Noon to kill Bonnie Paul, and 5-ball me, and the Eartha Joe's hitting me for, like, 5. Could have been bad. I don't know. Maybe I can't win that game, though. I'm not sure that it was right to not attack. I mean, my thought process was that I was worried they were going to use the high noon to deal 5 damage twice, and like I might be in a spot where I needed to chump block. I didn't think super hard about could I actually win a game where I wound up having to chump block, because it's possible the answer to that was no. Out of my way. I'll draw that and cast it, sure. Ace Menace. Ow. That High Noon's not in play anymore. It's pretty annoying. I suppose that was technically correct play to give the Prosperity Tycoon indestructible there, but it does seem like a waste of time. This is the first time I've actually had Bonnie Paul, and I think the thing I'm realizing is that one of the reasons it's so good is it's just so easy to rebuy. And the turn you get to cast it, it's really hard for you to die. So if you cast it and it dies, just getting it into play again is not particularly hard. Have I been playing any Brawl? A little while ago I was playing some Brawl. I made my Omnath deck a little bit better, but it's still not. My Omnath deck still isn't competitive with like the division of decks it puts you in if you play with Omnath as your commander, so it's kind of not that fun to play with. Is that Mana Guy the best Onulet ever? Didn't you got the life from Onulet when it died? So is it an Onulet? Maybe. I hope I don't lose to this Slingshot Show Off, because I really think that card is not good. Rambling possum sighting. No, I want to do that, and I want to give this life link. Question is, do I want to do damage or just make a treasure this turn? I think I'll just deal damage. The only way that making a treasure that turn really helps me is if I draw Bonnie Paul next turn. Could we? The Cunning Coyote. All right. Out of my way. This is the most beatdown draw this deck has gotten. It's like a beatdown life gain draw. I might play Failed Forwarding in my upkeep. We'll see. Laughing Jasper Flint is a bit annoying in Brawl. I can see where that would be pretty good in Brawl. I bet it's not. It can't be that powerful though, right? Like the good decks in Brawl kind of kill commanders every turn. Sure, I'll do this now. One, this thing, and you'll get Menace this time. Change of plans. And the usual life link. This only trigger once a turn. Triggers multiple times a turn, but an additional Menace triggering doesn't help me. Putting them to 6 doesn't help me that much. So let's draw something that's not a land. Or just draw another land. The good news in all that, though, is that I got a land into my graveyard. So when I finally draw that Bonnie Paul, it'll be leaving a land out of the graveyard for me. I guess putting them to... I would have put them to 2. So I would have had 2 lethal attackers if I'd taken the desert. I think it's still better not to have taken it. I think you're a merc. You are. Suspecting what's going to happen is I'm going to draw the milling component of my deck now, and it's going to prove to be kind of hard to win. Or I could draw the best card in my deck, Rooftop Assassin, never been defeated. Gives you value solely for surviving to upkeep, feels kind of lazy. Well, but can't you just play... Like, all the good commanders are ones that give you value when they come into play. So, I mean, I guess depending on what power level your deck is at, you might feel like it's kind of problematic, but there's no way it's more annoying than, like, Rusko. Or Golos. Rooftop Assassin, never been beaten. Alright, I think that is it for me for today. Thanks everybody for watching. Didn't go great, but I guess I finished with a 7-win draft. My goal is to get into the top 1,200 in Mythic before the end of the month, which is pretty easy to do, I would imagine. But I hadn't drafted in a while on Arena, so my rank started, I have to go through all the badges. What about the Tobias Andrion bracket? It would be quite powerful against Tobias Andrion, but it would be unsporting to play with a card that had rules text when faced with just the elegant simplicity of Tobias Andrion. It would be unfair to do anything except for maybe you could play like Torsten von Ursus. There's a new Torsten that's, I guess, a commander card that is in LSV's Vintage Cube. It's quite good. All right, that's it for me for today. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's the only way you could possibly hope to find out when I'm streaming, because it's pretty erratic when I do.